Here's where your comfort zone is killing you. Watch this video to the end and drop us comments. Yeah, people sometimes find themselves in a situation where they are not happy or it's not going the direction they want. And they kind of learn to be comfortable or to stay comfortable in that environment. Usually it's out of fear. This is not what I want to, this is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to, what I want to do. I'm afraid of doing something different because I know this. I know this pain. I know this pain is 4 out of 10. If I change and do something different, that pain could become 8 out of 10, could be 2 out of 10. I don't know that. So the fear of unknown. So I'd rather stay with the 4 out of 10 pain because I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to live with it. It's not comfortable, but I've accepted it. And I think that sometimes make people change. And you've got to get over that fear. You got to say, no, I'm not going to be fearful. What I have now is bad. The only way I know if it's going to get better is to try. And if it gets worse, okay, maybe I need to come back here. And I say that because even in, let's say, medicine, I have a patient who is taking a medication. Been taking that medication for the last 10 years, doing relatively well. Maybe they've been having nausea every morning when they take the medication. Now a new medication comes out and I reach out to them and I say, if I switch you to this new medication, you will no longer have nausea, it will be better. That patient said, no, I don't want to change. Why not? Well, I've been doing so well with this medication. What they mean is, not necessarily they've been doing relatively well. So they've come to accept the bad dreams or the nausea with that medication because maybe their blood pressure that the medication is for is controlled. That's what they mean. My blood pressure is controlled. Even though I'm having nightmares or having dizziness, I'm okay with that. I'm getting used to it. If we change your medication and still have your blood pressure control, and now you don't have any nausea, dizziness, and nightmare, will that work for you? Yes, but people say, I don't want to change. But they're so afraid that if you switch them, they may have more or new side effects they're not used to. And so that's the same principle as being comfortable. Being too comfortable is bad. It's okay to be comfortable, but when you're too comfortable, it's bad. So why do we expect things to stay the same? No, it doesn't stay the same. All I can say for people who are too comfortable in their environment is to understand, the only way you can make it better is to attempt to change. I think it goes back to the fear of failure. When you put things off, the society have kind of trained us to look at failure as a bad thing. When you fail, think about it. We have a grade of A, B, C, D, or F in school, right from elementary school. So one sociologist once said that, what is the reason for grading people? And it's the idea of grading people to say the guys that have A, to look at the ones that have C as a bunch of stupid people, to be trying to show how smart they are or how better they are, like from a smartness point of view. You've kind of, trained everyone to be that way. At the same token, you say, well, maybe those people get C and not put much of effort into what they're supposed to do. But the point is, stop competing against other people. Compete against yourself. That's the first thing you gotta do. So most people always worry about what other people think if they make a change. You know what you need to do to get a better outcome. But you're so worried about other people because you're so programmed to think about that competitive aspect to other folks. If I do this, it might not be as good as that person. If I do this, maybe I won't be good enough to compete. No, it's not about that. If what I can do, I want to be the best of me. I can take 3 guys sit next to me. We all have different skill sets. One person might be good at engineering. One person might be good at accounting. I'm a doctor. So I don't expect the engineer to be as good as me when it comes to being a doctor. And they don't expect me to be as good as them as an engineer. Likewise, even if the 3 doctors are sitting here, we are going to have a different level of expertise. So the question is, how can I make myself best person for what I do? How can I be the best me? So for people who are afraid of that are making that change, they shouldn't be. They should just do what they need to do and see what happens. And then when it happens, if it's not good enough, keep trying. But you cannot win a race. If you stand at the start line and you have 10 other people trying to run a race, and you're sitting there and the gun goes up, go, and you stand, you didn't move, and everybody moves, you're not gonna win. Even those guys, if you even think those guys can run faster than you, who knows? Maybe they'll trip. Maybe they didn't eat that morning. But you've got to run your race. If you win, you win. If you came second, at least you try. If you don't try, you don't know where you're gonna end up. So always give your best. Always try to do something different, something better. Don't always say, well, I want to do this. I wish I could do this. Those are dreams. You got to bring reality. You got to bring the dream to reality. We think about making a change in our life, but we're so scared to do it. Let's assume you actually take the effort to do something different, to try and make a change, and you're not successful. What should you do? Well, we've all been there. I've been there. And so when something doesn't work, like I give an example, decided to open a business, a wound care business, and I built this fantastic office, I had all this equipment there, and then COVID hit. The pandemic came about. And I couldn't find anyone, any insurance company to make a deal to get, a contract. And so we have this nice office building with nothing to do. Most people would just say, okay, I'm filing for bankruptcy, I'm gonna sell, I'm walk away. Even my accountant said, what are you gonna do with it now? I said, no, I have to rebrand myself. Why don't we do something different? I have this chamber here, hyperbaric chamber. We have all these people with COVID that have all these symptoms, feeling tired and fatigued. This might be a good tool. So I started to use this to help those post-COVID patients. So while I was doing that, I said to myself, okay, why don't we do something wellness? And so I had to rebrand myself. I learned from that failure. And it wasn't that, when you're trying to do something, you can't predict what's gonna happen. There's gonna be unexpected events. When those unexpected events come along, what do? You're running a race, you trip and you fall. Well, you didn't expect to trip and fall. I've seen a race one time where a guy was running and fell, got up and still won the race. You fall, your competitors, they're probably turn around like, whoa, we got this. But that moment where you stop and look at you get yourself up, you take off. So for me, and I learned what else I can do, things I didn't think about before, because I decided, what can I learn from this? So for every failure, always try to learn a lesson. Failure is an opportunity to learn. Imagine yourself being in a jungle and you're staring a lion right in the face. That fear tells you, run, so you didn't get attacked by a lion. So fear can be a good thing. Fear can be protective in nature. You see a danger, you fear danger, and you run. But fear of failure, some fear can actually paralyze you. You get offered for a promotion. We're gonna give you a promotion, move to New York, get more increase your salary. And you go, oh my God, I don't want to go to New York. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if I can handle this, this new job. What if I don't do well? And you turn the job down because your fear that you may fail, even though you have a better opportunity. So fear can be good and fear can be bad. That's the first concept we need to understand. This is unknown. I've never done this before. Something you've done over and over again, you're not fearful. There's no fear of failure because you've done it several times. You can close your eyes and do it. We all say stress is really bad. Yeah, some stress can be really bad. It can really make us depressed, can lead to mental illness or physical illness. But some level of stress is good for you. And that's called I think they call it eustress or something, I can't remember. Because you can't be too comfortable. You need some degree of uncomfortability. Some stress will drive you. If you get too comfortable, you don't want to get up. If it's if there's some level of, some degree, some small degree of stress, you want to move around. You want to find a new place to sit. You want to, do something. So we as human we need something to motivate you, some degree of uncomfortability to make us move. For me, I don't make excuses. For me, I look at things and I don't dwell in a problem, I dwell in a solution. What needs to be done? Rather than making excuses, oh, it's too hot, I can't go out there to water the plant. Oh, it's too rainy, I can't go out to Publix. So excuses doesn't get you anywhere. Excuses it prevents you from being actively doing something. If there's a problem and you have an excuse, you're not going to be proactive to solve that problem. So if you're out there and you make excuses for your actions, you're not going to solve the problem. So if you get in a relationship and there's a problem and you're making excuses for why your relationship is bad, you're not going to ever be in a good relationship. If you don't have a good job and you're making excuses, you will never get a better job. So excuses is not a way to go. There's no ifs and buts about it. It's not going to get you anywhere. Be prepared. Don't try to become in control of everything. You cannot be in control of everything. You don't have control over life. People say life happens. Things happen in life. So you've got, for example, when I decided to open my business, I thought I prepared for everything as much as I could, right? But then when it came down to it, I realized, oh, I wasn't prepared for certain things to happen. I wasn't expecting it. But I was prepared enough to deal with those things that happened that I wasn't expected. It's how you become successful. You don't want to go do something without being prepared. And I think that's what some individuals they're thinking about, but they just don't think about it in the right perspective. You have to be prepared before you do something, but you don't have to be to the full control, because you cannot be in full control of everything. There are things that's going to happen. It's like going to play a game. Your team has to go, your team A has to go play team B. You have a soccer match. You go up there, you've already prepared, you practice, you have your game plan, and you expect the other team to make some moves, and you go on the field, all of a sudden, it starts to rain. Well, you're not wearing the right cleats. And you go, oh, what do we do? Well, maybe during halftime, you decide to change your cleats. It's unexpected, you made a change. Or maybe the other team all of a sudden came up with a different game plan that you weren't expecting. Maybe they all played different. They only left one person in front. That wasn't what you were expecting. You had a different game plan, but you have to learn to change the plan as you go along. Don't try to assume full control of everything before you even begin. Be prepared, and be prepared to make changes as you go along. People get too comfortable with their situation, and they don't do anything until something happens, and they start whining, they start complaining, and they want to do something. And there are groups of people that are proactive. They're constantly thinking about, okay, what could happen tomorrow? What could happen the day after? What should I be doing now? What should I be doing tomorrow? So I am a proactive individual. I'm always thinking ahead. I remember years ago when you were talking about before electronic medical record was the thing, I was like, technology is changing. At some point, we're going to be doing medical record electronically. So I actually I bought one of those electronic medical record at the time, implemented that in my office. Then 3 or 5 years later, the government said, we're going to make this mandatory for people to use. Well, I already started using it 5 years down, before that. AI is here. People are talking about AI. There are people going, AI is nothing. Well, guess what? A few years down the road, if near future, maybe 2 years down the road, AI is going to be involved in a lot of things we do. So if you're waiting and not being reactive, you wait till things get to a point where you're not being forced to use it, and then you're being reactive, you have a business, it could affect your bottom line. So you have to be proactive. Don't wait till things happen before you react. Always think ahead. And if you see signs of an impending doom, do something about it. Don't wait till the house crashes down before you say, oh God, do something about it. No, you see your fire on the stove, it's nothing. The house blows up, then go, God, let's fix it. No, put the fire out before it becomes a problem. Being proactive in your personal life, in your professional life, in your romantic life, in your financial life, it really is the best way to be successful and happy. If you plan to start something new, always remember there's going to be obstacles. Sometimes people think, oh, I got this. I want to do this. Everything's going to go great. Expectation leads to disappointment. When you have an expectation that nothing's ever going to go wrong, and when it does go wrong, you get disappointed. But if you don't have that expectation, if you just are open-minded, and I expect things may go wrong, and maybe things will go wrong, it doesn't matter. I need to do this. When things go wrong, you have to just think, why did it go wrong? That's the other thing I do. I tell my students all the time, always ask why. Why did it go wrong? Is it something I did? Is it something I didn't plan for? Is it something somebody else did? Learn from that. If you understand why, you can fix the problem. If you can't fix the problem, you can find somebody that can fix the problem for you. And then you can still keep moving forward towards your goal. Maybe that goal isn't for you. Maybe what you were trying to do is not meant for you to be done. And when you ask you why, you find a solution and go, oh, okay, I thought this was a good idea. It's not. Let me go back to the drawing board. It's okay. But you might say, oh, I didn't think about this. I should have thought about it, but it's okay. Now you know. How do I fix it so I keep moving forward? I think that's really the key. Understanding, don't have the expectation that everything is going to be smooth all the time, because it's not going to be. There's going to be bumps on the road. That's just the way it is. I've never driven from point A to point B without a stop sign, a speed bump or something. It just doesn't happen. Even on 95, you get a little pothole, you get a little something, a little debris. So that's just life. So be prepared. There's always going to be something in the way. If you like this video, drop us comments on what other topics you want to talk about.